Hey, this is Rocket Brain Surgeon, and today we're looking at a new way to play the M4 Sherman. The M4 is a Tier 5 American medium tank characterized by excellent gun depression, decent speed, decent maneuverability, and here's the crucial part. It has two very usable guns that are very different from each other. I'm using the 105, which is affectionately called a derp gun because you simply put your cursor over the enemy tank and derp your head on the keyboard and the enemy in front of you dies if it penetrates. If it penetrates, it'll do a full 350 damage. Once upon a time, the premium round for this tank, heat rounds, had penetration of 150. Heat penetration has been changed in mechanics and in penetration, so now it has 100 penetration, which is not that good, and heat is actually very unreliable in the current patch due to it getting absorbed by tracks and due to it being incredibly poor against angles. So a lot of players after the heat nerf moved away from the derp gun because the derp gun has exceptional performance at low tiers, but it can suffer at higher tiers. You saw right there I basically one-shot two enemies because the sides of a tier 5 tank are actually very thin in armor. This makes penetrations far more common. A non-penetrating shot with the derp gun is going to deal somewhere between 100 and 150 damage depending on a lot of factors, whereas a penetration will deal the full average damage of 350. That's just a large difference, and when you are aiming at tanks, try as hard as possible to aim at the rear or sides of the tank. Another great benefit of the M4 Sherman is its 370 view range. I have on the tank, I have optics, rammer, and vents. I don't have a gun laying drive because, as you notice, I'm pretty much staying back in the action, or right here I'm brawling up close. Notice I switched to heat there, and that's what makes this style different. I'm also shooting a heat round here that's going to deal the full damage to the rear of that M4. Since heat rounds are completely unreliable in the current environment when facing targets frontally, I use HE rounds when I'm facing off against a well-armored tank. But against the side or rear of enemy tanks, that's when I'm going to switch to heat rounds so I can take advantage of that crazy good 3,000 damage per minute that the theoretical heat gun can get. So your fighting style in this tank should be to be very long range. You want to use your excellent gun depression to hide the vast majority of your tank. When the enemy sees you, they should just see a tiny little sliver of your turret sticking out behind something. Or when you get in close, you want to brawl. So you want to be really far away or really up close with this tank. You generally don't want medium range fighting. Notice as the game goes long, I'm getting a bit more daring because I want to get in close. The time for sniping is done and you really have to get on things. So I went back to help reset the cap, and now I'm helping to hunt down the additional enemies. On this map especially, it's critical that you help out your teammates with spotting. Otherwise, the campers sitting in the forest very well could annihilate your whole team while being invisible. Alright, let's recap this. For the equipment, you're going to want optics for that view range, you're going to want ventilation to increase your overall stats, and you're going to want a rammer. The ammo is going to be roughly 30 HE and roughly 16 heat. You can play with the numbers, but generally more HE. In your fighting styles, you're going to be doing long-range sniping with HE, showing very little parts of your turret, or you're going to be brawling up close with heat for guaranteed penetrations in DPM. Hope you enjoyed, and I wish you the best of luck.